I came across this YouTuber named Simon Hill.
If you don't like what I have to say, pick up your phone or turn on your computer's camera, film your own video.
He went to Albania recently, and to put it politely, he had a bad time.
Black travel family, please be aware and know, if you really want to come to the beach in Albania that bad, know that the cost of it is this. They are going to call you in the street in Albania and have no remorse about it.
But something from his video stood out to me.
We never did anything to anybody. We didn't colonize the world. We didn't rape women. We didn't commit genocide and force people to speak our languages or that sort of thing at all.
They didn't colonize the world. Technically true, because they were never able to invent the technology needed to spread their colonization efforts. That's why their colonization was limited to other African countries, like when Ethiopia colonized Eritrea in 1952. Didn't rape women? Does anyone remember Coney 2012? His Lord's Resistance Army raped a lot of women, and last time I checked, this man isn't European. No genocides? Not one? One of the most infamous genocides is the Rwanda genocide. Want to take a guess where Rwanda is located? And there have been many, many genocides in Africa where it was the Black Africans doing the genocide. Just ask Sudan. Bet you didn't know genocidal rape was a phrase before today. Never force people to speak their languages. Okay, ever heard of the Woman King? They made a movie about her. She was one of the biggest slave traders of all time, where she would conquer and colonize other African tribes, other African territories, other African countries. And guess what enslaved people are forced to do? That's right, speak the language of their enslavers. And the Woman King wasn't the only Black African to do this. People like this YouTuber pretend that white history is somehow uniquely evil. Literally every race did what my race did. We weren't uniquely evil. We were uniquely successful, and that's what really pisses people off. His entire video is him complaining about racism he faced in Albania, while simultaneously being racist to white people.
This has been the hardest month of my life, having to deal with being called racial slurs constantly in the street, having to hold my head up high and put on a brave face for my wife and I as we walk these roads here in Albania. Some people say that's what you should expect going to a homogenous country. If you're a Black man and you've been living around white people long enough, they start doing these tricks when they want to deny you the ability to have fun and spend your own goddamn money.
Oh, my bad. Black people don't have the power and privilege to be racist. Social economic factors, social structures, whatever. I will never understand people like this man and how he could come to the conclusions that he's come to. Another complaint he had is that on Albanian TV, they would be in blackface.
And then we come to find out that on Albanian national TV, they dress up in blackface and prance around on the screen in caricatures of us. To this day, this is 2023, and they're doing blackface on national TV in Albania.
That's not blackface. This is blackface. Now, as an American, I can understand why a Black American would be offended by this. But not only is it not blackface, they don't have the same history or legacy of slavery or racism towards Black people that America does. So this does not carry the same connotations in Albania that it does in America. So when you're a foreigner in someone else's country, maybe you should not get mad at their culture if you're choosing to go to their country. Now, if Simon does end up seeing this video for some reason, I do have a question for you. You also said this in your video.
Let's get some disclaimers out of the way very quickly. I can acknowledge my privilege as a man to be able to travel more freely across the world and not face sexual harassment like women would. I acknowledge my passport privilege to be able to travel more freely as an American across the world when so many people in the global south are not permitted to be able to freely enter into so many countries. I acknowledge my privilege as a heterosexual man who identifies with the gender he was born with. Thus, I don't have to deal with the homophobia that exists all across the world. I acknowledge all of these privileges in hopes of framing this conversation we're about to have together in all honesty and truthfulness.
Now, after acknowledging all these privileges you have because you're an American man, I'm wondering if you think America is one of the best countries on earth. Because while you have faced racism, which is bad, you're acknowledging in this video that you have never faced racism anywhere like Albania.
This has been the hardest month of my life, having to deal with being called racial slurs constantly in the street, having to hold my head up high and put on a brave face for my wife and I as we walk these roads here in Albania.
So do you at least feel lucky that you're born in America knowing how much worse other countries are? One last thing, if us whites are never supposed to say the N-word,
It's never okay to call a Black person.
then what am I going to do with these? My Black neighbor sold me these. $100 for $1,000. Can I not use these? I paid good money for this.
As I've said many times before on my channel, I'm a friend to the third world, to the developing world, to the poor of the earth, because I'm a poor person myself, and I have to brush it off my shoulders when I pay thousands of dollars to travel around the world just like any other white tourist. Because I'm a poor person myself, when I pay thousands of dollars to travel around the world, just the cognitive dissonance with these people is insane. It's really insane.